Hey, what's going on, y'all? Peace and blessings. It's your guy Rashawn. Welcome to the Space Invaders channel here. I want to say peace and blessings to you all. And real brief, I'm gonna try to make this as brief as possible. I just want to give a breakdown of the day 3 of the murder trial, in which the cop Derek Chauvin is on trial for the murdering of Mr. George Floyd. And I just want to break down everything that we seen yesterday. Today is April the 1st, and I believe day 4 of the trial will be going on in a little bit. Today I think it's about 8:30 April the 1st, 2021, and I just want to give a breakdown from day 3 on March the 31st, 2021. And as we saying, and if you watched it, if you haven't, I would say, watch it so you can understand, you know what I mean? And I would say if you have time, watch the trial. You have different outlets that's showing it on, YouTube pages or whatever. That has YouTube pages and showing it. And because you're getting to see, like as in day 3 as well, you're getting to see different footage now from inside the store, the cup foods, where Mr. Floyd supposedly passed off a counterfeit $20 bill, to you seeing him in the store laughing and joking and talking with people and hugging people, and then you know what I'm saying, and then you see when the cup food employees, cashiers or whatever, go out to George Floyd's car three different times. So I want to give a breakdown of that, and also I felt compelled at this point too, because this is a pivotal point, and it's showing, the picture that they might have tried to depict of George Floyd as he was this big angry black man, which when you see in footage and video that he was laughing and joking, you know what I'm saying, and just enjoying himself. Now, we're going to take out the part about him being high in this store, because I just want to talk about, you know what I'm saying, his demeanor in that store. And I was prompted to talk about this because I was in retail. I was a manager in retail for over 10 years. So I just want to talk about some of the things that, this could have, I'm not blaming cup foods. I'm not blaming the young man, you know what I mean? I will get into the young man, Christopher Martin, the young man that rung Mr. Floyd up, and he, for the pack of cigarettes and I guess some other items. And Christopher Martin is the one that noticed the counterfeit $20 bill. So what I want to say is, this whole thing could have been avoided in many ways. And before the police came, this could have been avoided in many ways. And yes, some can say if Mr. Floyd went into the store with a counterfeit bill, he could have been alive. But we're gonna break this down real quick here. All right. So y'all rock with me. I thank y'all for rocking with me. Make sure y'all share, subscribe to the page, hit the notification bell. You know what I'm saying? So every time that I post something, you'll get it. You know what I mean? So check it out. So as I said, and I got my notes, as y'all know, anytime I sit down and talk with y'all, that I try to share, you know what I'm saying, my notes and things, so I can make sure I'm on point and keeping me on track as well. So as I said, this whole incident could have been avoided. On Floyd's end, the store employees, the cops, if it was a counterfeit bill, The store didn't ask for it. The store didn't ask for Mr. Floyd to come in with a counterfeit bill. If it was a counterfeit bill, we have still yet to see. As for that cop, Derek Chauvin, him sitting in jail was his destiny. Okay, and I say that and peace and blessings be with George Floyd's spirit and his family. And in this time what they had to endure, but George Floyd just happened to be in a line of that fire, because this was Derek Chauvin's destiny, to be in prison right now, to be in jail, I should say, not prison, to be in jail right now and going through something like this right now. Because I guarantee, and from documents and different things, he had issues before. He had issues before doing arrest and abuse against, subjects or whatever. So this was his destiny, to be sitting on a trial right now. And just so happened, George Floyd had to be the person to have lost his life to this airhead, because that's just what it was. He was an airhead, So moving on, and I want to talk about, we talking about the store here. So let's be clear. If you work in retail, you're a cashier on the sales floor, whatever it is, if you're, and definitely if you're in management, let's be clear. If you believe a customer has stolen from your store, or in this case, handed a counterfeit bill, right? Once that person leaves the store and steps off the curb of that store, you should not be pursuing that person at all. You shouldn't be pursuing them. And by law, and I tell you this because, like I said, I worked in retail, and really by law, you're not even supposed to block them from getting out the door, because then that's like you're trying to you're trying to block their what's the word? I'm trying to get the word, y'all. It's still early in the morning. Try to work with me. You're blocking their exit. You're they could say you're holding a person against their will, and that's against the law. Especially if you don't have, and definitely if you don't have proof, and you just suspect something. Now that person could have done whatever you said they done, but if you don't have concrete evidence and you're blocking them from getting out the door and holding them against their will, if that person did steal something, that person can get off from that if they know those laws. And then you have professional thieves out here that know some of the laws, and you know what I mean, and they could get off, and I've learned this from law enforcement, from having them come into the store that I managed and did a whole, gave us a whole little breakdown of how things go when you're dealing with theft in the store, because I had encounters myself with thieves, and chasing them out the store and getting into physicals with them. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying, to the point that we had officers come in the store and give us a tutorial on how things should go and what we should do. And you can't be touching them and all of that stuff. You're not even supposed to do that. Really, if they don't turn around and come back on their own free will, you are not supposed to go pursuing them, because then things could get ugly, especially once you bust out those doors of your business chasing someone that has stolen from your business or whatever. It could get ugly. So my question is, why would the manager of Cup Foods, why would you send your employees outside to approach Mr. George Floyd, who was parked across the street from Cup Foods for a little bit of time? I can't pinpoint the actual minutes, but he was parked across the street from the store for a little bit of time. You know, not, I wouldn't say not an hour or anything, but he was parked across the street from the store. And why would you send a 19-year-old cashier, and I don't know how old the other employee was, why would you send those two outside? And then again a second time, and then a third time with different employees, he sent them out there. So it started off for first two times, Christopher Martin, the lead cashier who rung up Mr. Floyd. I wouldn't say the lead cashier, but the cashier who actually rung up George Floyd. It started off with him going out with another young man to approach George Floyd twice. Then the third time, it was Christopher Martin, and then there was two other employees. But at this time, the third time, Christopher Martin steps. He's standing back from the car, and the other two employees actually went up to the car to approach Mr. George Floyd. Now, at one moment, I understand that Christopher Martin, I thought the third time, Christopher Martin said in his testimony on March the 31st, 2021, I thought that he said the third time, if you watch the video, I thought that Christopher Martin said the third time it was a gentleman that went out with him, had on a white t-shirt. I thought he said that that was the store manager. But then he was asked again, and he said that wasn't. So, I mean, I might have missed something, but I thought that he said that. So, anyhow, whatever the case, right? Now, I understand the employee Christopher Martin still seen George Floyd's vehicle parked across the street from the store. So you thought it was okay to send the employee instead of you, the manager, going. In this situation, the manager is supposed to do his job, right? That's when the management comes in. Now, I can understand you saying, I get the idea, but I don't rock with the idea. I can't stand behind this idea right here. I get the idea of you thinking, okay, that was your foul up. You made that mistake. Go handle it. I can get that train of thought, but I can't stand behind that, because especially not after the first time. After the first time, that should have been it. You should have went outside and addressed, the manager of Cup Foods should have went outside and addressed George Floyd on the situation. All right. But you thought it was okay to continue to send, as a manager of the store, you thought it was okay to continue to send this teenager, 19-year-old and teenager outside. And let's be clear, if you look at the video, you've seen the video, it looked like they hired a lot of teenagers. You know, they had quite a few teenagers that worked in there behind the register. It looked like it from the video, and that's what's up. That's what's good. That's awesome. Y'all employing the teenagers. You're employing young adults. You know what I mean? That's what's up. But I talked about this a week ago. Just a week ago, I talked about customer service and management training these young folks. So let's get into it. Now, in that situation, so you had Christopher Martin at one point. He says that earlier that day, George Floyd's friend come in the store with the counterfeit bill. Okay, George Floyd wasn't with his friend. I don't know the friend name. They never quite said his name. Not as of yet. They haven't said it. I'm pretty sure he'll be on trial too, as well as the manager from Cup Foods and other employees. I'm pretty sure they're going to be on a trial giving their testimony. But George Floyd's friend of George Floyd, came into the store earlier that day with a counterfeit $20 bill. Christopher Martin was the cashier at that time. Then, as well, he recognized the counterfeit $20 bill, called the guy out on it. He went on about his business. Now you see George Floyd comes in later that day. That same friend was with George Floyd. You know what I'm saying? And George Floyd passes off a counterfeit $20 bill. Now, if you watch the footage, you seen like George Floyd's in there laughing. He's having a good time. Like, he's hugging people. You know what I'm saying? He's just talking and everything, seeming comfortable. You know, not seeming like someone that knows they have a counterfeit, that has a counterfeit money on him. Because I believe he wouldn't have seemed so comfortable in there if he knew he would have been trying to. You would have seen like some urgency to try to hurry up and get up out of there, but he was laughing and stepped back from the couch right there. He's talking to people. Hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? He's talking with people. Now, mind you, the cashier, Christopher Martin, said he never seen George Floyd in there before, whatever. But we don't know if the manager ever seen George Floyd in there before. You know what I'm saying? Or anything of that nature. But so you get to see George Floyd laugh. It doesn't seem like anyone that knew that they had counterfeit bill on them. It would be some urgency to get out of there, right? So, but my thing is, Christopher Martin says he really didn't know when he was looking at the $20 bill. He really didn't know what he was looking for. He just knew the color and the texture of the money wasn't right. Now that's fine. It's not fine. But I can get that part. But this is where I have a problem, man. If you're management, whoever owns Coke Foods, you should make sure you're training your people on that. Especially a teenager. You should be training them, hey, this is what you look for. Give me a second. So, my thing is, I have a $20 bill right here. No, this ain't fake, okay? But this is on my left side here. You'll see $20 bills on a money period. There'll be serial numbers. You hold it up to the light. You're looking for that. Then they'll have lines in it. Some of them have the watermarks. Those are things that you're looking for, okay? Again, this is real. This is not a counterfeit. But yeah, so these are the things that you're looking for, right? Why are you not training your employees? They shouldn't just go off the color. I get it, the color or whatever, and all I have to say is that must have been some bad counterfeit if this young man could just see that the color was off and the texture was off. You know what I'm saying? So why are you not training your employees to know that? Because actually, how do you know that the color is off? Maybe you saying the color is off and you saying the texture is wrong. What, you know what I'm saying? What do you mean by that? You know what I'm saying? So that's how you gauge. So what if the color wasn't off and the texture felt like real money? You would have never known. So people could come in there with counterfeit money all day because you really don't know what you're looking for. You know, and you're not trained on that. And if people know that, then they're going to be hitting that store with counterfeit money all the time because they know that nobody's really checking. So if this young man didn't know, yeah, obviously the other ones around him didn't know because someone would have put him up on it, right? So I'm moving on real quick. I'm just moving on. So he says that he noticed with George Floyd that, you know, the color was off, blah, blah, blah. That's how he gauged counterfeit money. So he goes outside. He's sent outside 3 times, him and other employees. The manager keeps sending them outside. Now I get it. I understand what the manager was trying to do. You were trying to give George Floyd the opportunity to come back in. But let's be clear. Once somebody leaves the store and they step off that curb and they leave out of that store, you really not supposed to go pursuing them because it could get dangerous. And they don't have to come back in the store after they done exit the store and he definitely stepped off the curb and walked across the street where his car was parked at. He ain't got to come back in the store. You done accepted the money. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case is, you accepted the money. He don't got to come back in the store. And that's just real. But at that point, I mean, it's two things that could have been done. Now, but I understand what you were trying to do. So if you were trying to give him a pass, why didn't you? Okay, I ain't agreeing with none of the times you sending an employee out there, but at least after the first time, the manager of Cub Food should have went out there to George Floyd's car and said, "Hey, listen here, man. You cannot. I don't want you back in the store again. If I see you back in the store, or any of my employees say they seen you back in that store, we're gonna call the cops. We're going to call the cops immediately. I'm going to give you 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes to leave from here right now, or I'm going to call the cops on you." That's it. And step off. Now, let's be clear. Christopher Martin, the cashier in Cup Food, he said that in situations like that, and if you get counterfeit money or anything like that, you will get docked out from your paycheck. You know, they would take it from your check. Cup Foods, that's one of their rules. Okay, so the second time when Christopher Martin come in, he seen, you know, I guess he actually seen that George Floyd was innocent. Like, he really didn't know. Like, it seemed to him that George Floyd really didn't know that that was a counterfeit bill. His actions showed that, you know what I mean? So this is a 19-year-old young man, and he's noticing that this grown man, like, he seems like he really didn't know. You know what I mean? So he comes back in, Christopher Martin comes back in the store after the second time, and he's like, "Hey, look, man, I'll take the hit on that. You can dock my pay for that." The manager says no. Why would you say no and allow this young, you know, and make this young man go back outside with two other employees a third time? That was just crazy to me. You should have went outside and told him at that point, of the young man, that was your policy anyway, and the young man stepped up and said, "Hey, just, you know what I mean? Like, if you just gonna let him go, because you want him to come back in the store, what are you gonna do when he come back in the store?" Because obviously it seemed like you didn't really want to call the police, and I get that part. I'm not knocking you for that movement, but you need to expound on that, capitalize on that. And if you didn't want to call the cops, if you knew that was the policy to dock the young man, say, "Hey, look, you go outside and you tell him." And from my understanding, this may not mean much to many, but the manager also was a gun carrier. So if you went outside, you got the gun on your hip or whatever, and you approached him and you said, "Listen here, Dick, look, you don't need to come back in my store again. Blah, blah, blah. If I see you in here, I'm calling the cops, and any of my employees see you in the store, we calling the police on you. Number two, I'm giving you 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes to get from here right now, or I'm going to call the cops on you." Are we clear on that? And you standing there with authority as the manager, I believe George Floyd would have got up out of there. Okay? I believe he would have got up out of there. But you kept sending these youngsters outside. He's probably looking at them like, you know, after a while, and then his other partner was in there that just got caught earlier for trying to pass off a $20 bill to the same cashier, Christopher Martin. They're probably looking like, young jokers, these young cats keep coming out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, "Man, you gotta get your youngins out of here." You know what I'm saying? Like, they probably pass them off like, "Man, get up out of here." Like, they not taking it serious. Now, let's be clear. George Floyd probably really, if it was a counterfeit bill. Now, you have thieves and con artists that are great actors, some of them. But if you looked at the video footage, George Floyd, He might have did have a counterfeit bill. It might be counterfeit money being passed around the city. It might be counterfeit money going on and passed around the city, and some businesses are not catching it, and it's just going on around the city. Counterfeit money is being spread around the city. George Floyd might have not known. Somebody could have passed him off for 20. He could have went to the store the day before, and they could have gave him a counterfeit bill, and he never even known it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes some of us, you get money, you could go to the ATM, you go to the store, you're not sitting there looking at all your dang on. You're not looking at all the serial numbers, you're not looking at all of that. Sometimes you see the new bills, you see the watermark, you see that line. But for the older bills, you're not sitting there looking, you know what I'm saying, to make sure that sometimes you get your money, you count it, boom, 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 you got just the right change, boom, you put it in your wallet, in your pocket, and you keep it moving, you know? So George Floyd, if it could have been the cases of counterfeit money being passed around Minneapolis, man, you know what I mean? And he might have not known. Or number two, that homeboy, okay? My thought when it comes to that part, George Floyd homeboy, I can't wait. I know they got to put him on. He's gotta give his testimony and get on that stand. They gotta. But this is the thing. Now I believe George Floyd probably ran into his homeboy. You know what I'm saying? And his homeboy probably needed a ride or they was, whatever the case was. And George Floyd probably said, "Hey man, get some cigarettes." And the homeboy, this slob, he probably gave George Floyd, he knew he ain't had no money. He running around with counterfeit money. He probably gave George Floyd the $20 bill, the counterfeit money. George Floyd, if they say he was high, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. If you high, you not paying attention, you off. You know what I'm saying? Your mind, you not even focused like that. He probably didn't even pay attention to it. His boy probably gave him that 20. He probably like, "Oh, all right, yeah." And went in the store. Because my thing is, if your boy got caught in that same store earlier, and he told you that, and if he told George that was a counterfeit $20 bill, then why would you go right back to the store where you almost got caught at, where you got called out earlier? You would have stopped George like, "Yo, bro, like, we ain't gonna go there, man, because they called me out earlier. Let's go to another store." So I feel the homeboy probably passed George that counterfeit $20 bill, and George was probably was, under the influence or whatever. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But I seen a certain body movements in the store, but that don't mean nothing. But but if they say he had some drugs and they saying this and that, okay, if he was high, that could have happened right there. His homeboy could have pulled a fast one on him and gave him that $20 bill, and then let him go off in that store, and then we have a different situation. Because mind you, when Christopher Martin, the cashier in Cup Food, and another employee went outside the first time, George Floyd's homeboy was in the passenger seat, and they had Christopher Martin, they had a conversation, and the homeboy said, "Yeah, why would I do that? You called me out earlier, And he had another fraudulent $20 bill and ripped it up in front of him and threw it on the ground. So that's my thing, where the homeboy probably could have passed one off on George Floyd, slime ball, passed that off to George Floyd, knowing that he got caught earlier in there, and you pass it off on George Floyd. And even if George Floyd had a counterfeit $20 bill and you knew it was a counterfeit $20 bill, you should have been like, "Yo, bro, don't go up in there, man. They caught me earlier, man. They called me out earlier." So he's a slime bucket all the way around, okay? He was slime bucket all the way around. But this is what I want to say to the youngsters, man. If you don't know something and you working in retail, you cashiering in these corner stores, wherever you at, man, if you don't know something, ask, because you're trying to learn, and ask the questions of management, how things are to go. It's bigger than, the ultimate goal is to get paid, but it's bigger than, getting paid. There's other things that take place, just like in this situation right here. Now, if that young man was on point, he could have said, "Hey, nah, man, I don't feel comfortable with going out there." But the young man, Christopher Marr, felt compelled, like he felt like, oh yeah, that is on me. Let me go out here. But meanwhile, the management, that was the management job. And another thing, if you're in retail and you work in a cashier and somebody passes you a fraudulent bill and you see, again, this is not fraudulent money. I just had to pull it out to show y'all, examples. So if you're working in retail or whatever, and you working in cashiering, whatever out here, grocery chains, wherever you're at, and somebody passes you a 20, somebody passes you counterfeit money, you can keep that money and tell that person to exit the store, call your management and everything, let them know what's up and let them handle that situation. You know what I'm saying? Or you could tell them to exit that store. Because if somebody has counterfeit money, let me tell you something. When you call them out, they're going to get up out of there. They're not going to sit there and argue with you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now, you could tell. Now, if someone sits there and argue with you, and you can tell, if they're going to sit there and argue with you in management, then they really don't know. Or you may call somebody out on that, and they really might not know. You could tell because they'll be shocked. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be a difference. If people really don't know, you might have somebody on a defense, and they might want to argue with you. Like, man, you crazy because you might be, that's what's the word I'm looking for? Assassinating their character. You know what I mean? And embarrassing them. Like, what do you mean? Like, so they might get into it with you for that, and you can tell within the argument. You know what I mean? Because you go get the management and you say something, they're gonna want to argue. They're gonna argue you. Or it's gonna be two ways where if a person really don't know, they're gonna argue with you. They're gonna stand there and argue with you. Or they're going to be totally shocked, like, what? Are you kidding me? And they're going to start reaching for more money, like, I swear I didn't know anything. They're going to be apologetic. So those are the two things. If somebody's trying to pull off a counterfeit bill, they're not going to sit, they're not going to, and they know that it's counterfeit, they're not going to stay there. They're going to be trying to get up out of there. If they know it's counterfeit, you ain't going to have to say much to them. They're going to get up out of there. Trust me when I tell you. I was in retail over 10 years. I dealt with those situations. I dealt with, just theft, you know what I mean? Period. From employees and from people just coming into the business. So, posing as customers. So, I dealt with those things. So I can tell you, for real. So, going on, man. So that's the thing. The management, you have to take charge. You cannot leave things in the hands of the employee. That's what your title is, a manager. You're supposed to manage. The cashier is supposed to ring up the customers. That's just it. A salesperson is just supposed to sell. Everybody has a job to do. It's titles in businesses and retail. That's what it's titles for. Everybody play their position. You know what I'm saying? We on the same team and we got our own positions. We play those positions. We specialize in the positions. But if you have youngsters, or even if they not young adults, anybody that comes in and working for you and working under you or whatever, you are to train them. Make sure that they know the protocols. You're not supposed to just throw people out there, man, and then, But that's the problem that we have in some of these places. You put people in positions, and then you want them to do, you're in management, and then that's poor management when you try to get the employee to do your job. You're getting paid as a manager to manage, but you want the cashier to be everything. You know what I mean? That's not right. So before I get off topic, I spoke about that. So, moving on. Now, nothing that I'm saying is warranting the death of George Floyd. I'm not saying And he like, oh, you know, what I'm saying, what I'm actually saying is this could have been prevented from, you know, I'm not blaming Cold Foods again for George Floyd coming in with a counterfeit bill. If that's what you guys are saying, I'm not blaming Cold Foods for that. No. But what I'm saying is, if you were gonna let him go, and it seemed like the management didn't want to call the cops from the rip, then you should have carried it all the way out. If you did not want to call the cops, you should have went ahead and handled that appropriately. Like I said, went out there as management, went out there, let him know, hey, first of all, told the employee Christopher Martin, hey, listen, okay, you know the rule, right? So you're gonna have to wear that, you're gonna have to eat that, we're gonna dock you from your check. Boom. Go outside and tell him, hey, listen here, man, because he has left the store, exit store, he don't want to come back in. So you didn't want, it seemed like you didn't really want to call the police. So you should have went out there and said, hey, listen here, you are never to come back in the store again if any of my employees, and if I see you again, I'm going to call the police. Number two, I'm giving you no more than 5 minutes to get from right here. You know, or I'm going to call the police. And, you know, are we clear? And walk off. Nothing else. Be stern, mean what you say, and say what you mean, and step off. And I guarantee, I believe that George Floyd would have, I don't know the man, but if somebody has done something wrong, I believe they would have left. And another thing, he might have not even really known that was a $20, that was a fraudulent bill, because why would he continue to sit there? After the first time when the employees of Cup Food came outside, if anything, he would have got the heck up out of there. Now, if you say, oh, he was high. Well, when you see the video, if you look at the video, because don't make that comment until you look at the video, the footage of inside of Cult Food, you will see like he was laughing and joking and hugging folks. The woman that he hugged in the video, she was ultimately the one that wound up in the back seat of his of the Mercedes SUV, because he offered to give her a ride home. So, if he was that high, I hope she wouldn't have gotten the car with him if he looked like he was under an influence. That's all I'm saying. Nobody hanging out, nobody passing out fraud or counterfeit money gonna hang around a business, man. They're not gonna hang around. And when I say it's like he left out the store and went and sat in the car for a while, or whatever they was doing. Nobody's going to hang around the store. Nobody's going to hang around a businessman that they just passed off a counterfeit bill. Now, his homeboy is a slime bucket, because if he gave George Floyd that counterfeit bill, or if he didn't, but he know he got caught earlier that day, he should have been like, yo, man, you know, I'm out. But his homeboy sat around the whole time. You know what I'm saying? He's a slime bucket, and he's the cause of that too. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, yeah, George Floyd is a grown man. But what I'm saying is, I don't believe that Mr. Floyd, if it was a counterfeit bill, George Floyd did not know that was a counterfeit. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? If it was, I don't believe George Floyd knew it was a counterfeit bill. That's not the behavior of someone that know they just passed over a counterfeit bill. And obviously, this George Floyd didn't want to go to jail, because the statements he made to the cops about being claustrophobic and pleading with them and everything like that. I don't think, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, we got to look at these things leading up to the acts of the cop, Derek Chauvin. That's all I'm saying. My next and final examination is, why didn't the police, when they did come, okay? When the police did come, why didn't they? Okay, I understand when they come and there's the theft issue involved, and in that issue it was a counterfeit situation. They had the description of the car. George Floyd vehicle was still parked in the same place when the police came, and I think this George Floyd probably had been sitting there almost 30 minutes before the cops came, I want to say. I could be wrong. Y'all could correct me if I'm wrong on those minutes. But when the police came, right? Okay, they wanted to apprehend him, put the cuffs on George Floyd. Why did no one take him in the store to be ID'd, to be clear with the store management? Why didn't they take him in the store? Or why didn't they go in the store and get management to come outside to ID him, to be clear on that, and to be clear on what do you want to do? Do you want this man arrested, or do you want to give him a chance to give him the money? Because ultimately, it's in the hands of the store owner or management to what they want to do. Because some stores, like back in the day, you used to see signs on the door about theft, and they say prosecute 100% at, you know what I'm saying? Like, ain't no talking. Like, you get caught stealing, and I've been this. We not having it. You going to jail. We don't want to talk. You know what I'm saying? Prosecute. You know what I'm saying? They prosecuting you to the fullest. That's what they'll say. Prosecute to the fullest if you caught stealing. You know what I mean? So y'all never gave that opportunity. I never seen that happen. It's like y'all put them in cuffs, whatever conversation y'all had with them, and then it just escalated from there. No one never went in the store and talked to the employees, so much so that you had the employees at this time at Cup Foods when things start escalating and George Floyd's on the ground. You had the employees yelling and like, yo, that's wrong. That's wrong. He can't breathe. You had Christopher Martin with his hand on his head because just guilt, just feeling guilt, like he didn't expect it to go to that part. And the young man, Christopher Martin, he really believed that George Floyd didn't know, and that's why he really stepped up after the second time and told management, hey, look, I'll pay for it. This guy, I don't think he knew, man. I'll pay for it. And the manager said no. So all I'm saying is this thing went to 0 to 100. You know what I'm saying? And I believe all from management could have stopped it. Like when the police came, why didn't management go outside himself? You know, and whatever. So it just escalated. And if any of that happened, hey, I never seen it in none of the videos, because now when you're watching this trial, you're seeing different footage. You're seeing wide cuts, wide view of the police cruiser with them having George Floyd on the ground. You had the 911 lady even saying the 911 calling the cops. She with the police calling on the police. She called the supervisor or something, I believe, and said, hey, is everything all right? Because they've been there in that location for a long time now, for a little bit too long. Something just don't seem right. You know what I mean? They've been there too long. She thought the 911 lady thought that the screen had froze because they had screens up in their call center. She thought the screen froze. They was there so long. You know what I mean? So, I mean, and shout out to the brother, Donald Williams, the gentleman that said he practiced martial arts and wrestling and things of that nature. He kept that same energy, man. He was 10 toes down with it. He said what he meant and meant what he said. You know what I mean? So, they kept asking. They got to the point where they asked him about, him calling Derek Chauvin out of his name, pretty much calling him like a scumbag, and things of that nature. And he looked Derek Chauvin right in his eye, right in his face, and like, yeah, I said it. What's up? And I meant that. He's a scumbag. And shout out to him, period, for just explaining and letting them, giving them a visual of like this man having his knee on George Floyd's neck and what this was doing, and showing you step by step, like, hey, you see when his foot come up? Yeah, he's putting more shoulder. You see when his shoulders turn, he's doing this, and he's putting more pressure down. And the more pressure you put down, it's closing the airway. It's closing, you know what I mean? And like he told him, that's a blood kill, something like that. He said to him, and that's when you get the visual of Derek Chauvin looking up in the camera. It looked like he was looking directly in the camera, but at this point, Donald Williams said that Derek Chauvin made eye contact with him because he called out the move that he was doing on George Floyd. So that's that one visual that you get when he's sitting there with his hand in his pocket and his knee just resting on George Floyd's neck, and then he's looking right. It looks like he's looking right in the camera. That was him looking directly at Donald Williams at that time, because Donald Williams called out the move. I think he said it was a blood kill, something like that. The move that with his knee on George Floyd's neck, and martial arts, I guess that's what they call it. Correct me if you're in martial arts. He said it's a blood kill or something like that, that, you know, with the knee on the neck. But yeah, man, that's just it. I just wanted to run that down because, you know, I was prompted to talk about this, and I'm speaking on day 3 of the murder trial, the Derek Chauvin murder trial of George Floyd. And I'm just breaking down what they were going through. They were showing you the footage from inside of Cub Food, and I want to say they were humanizing George Floyd and showing you him, and how they were trying to depict George Floyd, or trying to say he was like this big angry black man, where he wasn't that, and showing you his demeanor when he was in the store. He was laughing and joking and talking to the people behind the cash register and hugging the people, someone he knew coming in. So he was like, relax, calm, and chill. He wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't no urgency, like he was trying to hurry up and get out the store. He was just kick back, chill. So that didn't look like anybody that knew that they had some counterfeit money on it. Now, mind you, there's some great thieves out here. There's some great actors out here. You know, these people with thieves or con artists. There's some great actors out here, so they know how to keep their composure. But this was different. This ain't nobody, like, in that situation. If you knew you had to, you gonna be trying to get your thing and get out of there. He was kind of lax, laid back from the register. Then he come up and he laughing. Then he's you know pointing and laughing and hugging people walk by. So he was like, he was, you know. This is off. We're not gonna bring in the drugs if he was under the influence or anything. We're not even gonna talk if he was under the influence. You know what I'm saying? If he known he had a fraudulent or counterfeit money on him, I do not think we would have seen that behavior. And if George Floyd knew that was a counterfeit bill, why would he stay parked in front of the store? Like, he was across the street from the store. If someone has counterfeit money, or they just did a crime, they're not gonna stay in the area. They're gonna get the heck out of there. So that's all I'm trying to say, folks. So this trial is becoming to be, you know, interesting, because you're hearing a lot of things, and there's so many people that they're going to bring to the stand, and so it's quite interesting. But everybody that gave their testimonies thus far, now that young lady Alicia, she had me, the young lady, the 23-year-old young girl that worked across the street at the Speedway, she had me, you know, I'm like, come on, child, like, I understand you could be nervous and everything of that nature, but you recorded the video and you still had it in your phone, and you don't know nothing they asking you. I'm pretty sure you watched that video numerous of times afterwards. You know, you recorded pretty much the whole incident from across the street. So she the one that killed, but everybody else, man, pretty much, I mean, even that young lady, everyone said the same thing. They knew something, they wasn't right what they were saying. Okay, Everyone knew that it wasn't right, and Derek Chauvin needed to be, you know what I mean, he needed to be called out on that. So everybody had the same sentiment. Everybody had the same thing. Like, this wasn't right, you know, what he was doing. You know, you had, you know, people walking up, people yelling. And mind you, when it all first kicked off, if you looked at the video, you know, there weren't even a lot of people around when it first started. You might have had about 7 people that ultimately wound up, you know, just standing there for a while, you know, but they try to make it out like it was so much of a big crowd and they were getting, you know, out of hand. But the thing is, Derek Chauvin never let up. When George Floyd said he couldn't breathe, when he said his stomach, you never let up. My thing is, why did you stay there on his neck and it was 3 of y'all on him? Why didn't you get this man up and then attempt to put him in the car again? Why? Why did you stay there on the man's neck? Why didn't you never let up? He had the cuffs on him. He was down, laid down on the ground. Where was he? How was he in a threatening? You got him on the ground with his hands behind his back. A non-threatening position. Why would you continue to stay on his neck? That's my question. But hey, man, this your boy Rashawn, and I was just doing a wrap-up of from day 3 on the murder trial of George Floyd. Derek Chauvin being charged in the murder trial with the murder of George Floyd. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man. But I just wanted to run that by y'all, man. Today will be this April the 1st, 2021. This gonna be day 4 of the trial. It started on Monday. It opened up on Monday, and so today, Thursday, April the 1st, 2021. This will be day 4 of the trial. So if you haven't locked in and watched it, take some time to watch it. You have it on different outlets on YouTube where they're showing it live or whatever. So check it out. You got a lot of time to just go back and look at it, and then you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. But day 3 was a pivotal point for me because you got to see his reaction, George Floyd's demeanor, his reaction from inside the store and at the car. He didn't want to come in there. It's his right. He didn't have to come back in the store. Right or wrong, he didn't have to come back in the store. Okay? But y'all know what I said earlier and how I broke it down, how I gave it up to y'all. So, peace and blessings to all y'all, man. Make sure y'all tell a friend, share the page with my channel with your friends, man. I have good conversations over here. And excuse me looking a little different. I'm in the process of moving. So, you know, and yeah, I'm gonna be doing more of the tours, you know, going to historical sites around the state here. So y'all stay locked for that. You know, I enjoy doing that, and I got some great things in store for y'all when it comes to that. So hey, peace and blessings to y'all, man. It's your boy Rashawn. I'm out.